And we'd like to welcome you all to our brand new lunch club today, which will be covering, exploring women's history through America, presented by Lou. Lou, thank you so much for presenting. Again, I'll be assisting with trivia at the end, and I hope we all learned something new today. Thank you so much.
Great. Well, thank you again, Alex, for putting this fabulous slide deck together, rich with information, wonderful graphics, and huge thanks to all of our seniors who show up on these calls. And, I don't know about you all, but I truly feel more worldly having done this for the last year or two. Do you all feel the same way? It's sort of strange. All right. Well, that may be a yes or maybe a no, but I'm going to keep going. So here we go. Trailblazing Travels, exploring women's history through America. Now, this is fascinating. So I'll read through this. From Auburn, New York, to Whiteville, Virginia, to Cody, Wyoming. There are many lesser-known cities across the U.S. that serve as bastions of female power. This March, celebrate Women's History Month in one of these destinations and gain a deeper appreciation of women waymakers throughout history. I've got some great memories of Cody, Wyoming, by the way. I'll tell you about those later. Okay, here we go. Here's our agenda. First, we'll talk about Auburn, New York, then Winston-Salem, then Wyoming, and then Washington, D.C., followed by Alex leading us in the trivia. So without further ado, let's get the show on the road. First off, we have Auburn, New York. Let's learn a little bit, folks, about the Harriet Tubman history of Auburn. Now, this is completely new to me. Does anybody have any awareness of this Auburn connection to Harriet Tubman?
Didn't even know she was in New York.
Yeah.
These two videos will be amazing.
All new for me. Here we go.
A lot of people assume that I grew up in New York City. Truth is, I moved there as an adult. Mid-state and upstate New York are my origination points. So, having the opportunity to come to Cayuga County, specifically Auburn, New York, felt a bit like coming home. The snow, the small city vibe, and the tight-knit community are reminiscent of some of my favorite parts of being raised upstate. When visiting Auburn, New York, you'll most likely be introduced to Arthur's work before you ever meet him. From the Auburn City mural that I had a clear eye shot from my hotel window, to the famous Harriet Tubman mural downtown that he's most known for.
I created that over the course of a year. So it was a painstaking process. Where I worked, they had these beautiful tapestries there. And I kind of was influenced by these tapestries where they would tell life stories in one picture.
What do you think the role of art and the artist is to you?
I think of art as a teaching tool. So this is a tool we can use to teach people about what's valuable and also help other people feel seen. And it makes them proud of the place where they're from. And it makes them feel like they really belong in that place.
Michelle Jones Galvin is Harriet Tubman's great-great-great-grandniece. She's also the co-author, along with her late mother Joyce, of the book Beyond the Underground, Aunt Harriet, Moses of Her People. Honored isn't even the word to describe how I feel sitting down with her today. Through your family story and also through the work that you did with your book, Beyond the Underground, what is one thing that you feel like the public doesn't really know about your aunt that you wish they knew?
One, service to others. I mean, she lived that. She breathed that. The other thing is compassion. Most people don't really realize that compassion actually has two parts to it. Yes, it's being able to feel the pain, the misery, the hurt of another person. But the second part is you take action to eliminate that.
You know those moments in life when you meet someone who loves the work that they do? That's Reverend Paul Carter to me. Multiple times a week, he hosts a fact-packed and animated presentation of the life of Harriet Tubman, while overlooking the grounds that includes her former home and the home for the elderly that she both built and resided in for a time.
Well, you know, Harriet's story is so big and so vast that it's hard to squeeze it into just a few minutes, but she was very well known in this area.
I thought I knew about Harriet Tubman until I met Reverend Paul. I didn't know about her head injury as a child, which to me, I believe made Harriet a bit of a savant. I wasn't fully aware of her time spent in the Army as everything from a nurse to a spy.
She was the only woman to ever lead troops into battle during the Civil War. Also, it's been noted that of the men who served with her on the raids she led, none of her men were killed on any of the missions she led them on.
The elderly. On the same property, this house was a care center free of charge that she built for the aging community. She too spent time there in her later years before passing away. Owned and run by Melody Smith Johnson, Melody's Place is a co-working and event space in the Auburn community. Upon entering, you'll notice her wall of Black women-owned businesses, as well as her sign that you cannot miss, letting you know that you're right where you belong. True to its form, tonight we're here at Melody's Place for a community dinner. They curated an invite list that included local business owners, artists, politicians, and descendants of Harriet Tubman. Honestly, regardless of who they are, tonight they all feel like family. There's something underneath this small city of Auburn, something unique with deep and wide roots. I think it's how Harriet's legacy lives under the feet of its community every single day. It's also why I'll be coming back. It makes sense that my last stop during my visit to Auburn is to go visit Harriet Tubman's gravesite. To be honored enough to stand at the foot of her grave, it's this moment that humanized her for me. All I could think about looking at her tombstone was how Harriet and so many of our historical figures like her were just people. People who had to make extraordinary decisions while here because of the time period and life circumstances they were born into. I cried, I thanked her, I asked for strength, and hoped that she was proud of the work being done to keep her name alive.
Well, that was wonderful. Any thoughts about what we just saw, folks? Any thoughts?
Yeah, she didn't have an elaborate grave marker. It was just a regular marker like everybody else. And then her name was Davis. I don't remember that she got married again.
Yeah, I was surprised by that too. Anybody else? Great comments.
Well, I really didn't know about this close connection to Auburn, New York. All I hear about is the Eastern Shore of Maryland, Dorchester, and Cambridge. I didn't know about the Auburn, New York connection.
Yeah, that was amazing to me because I didn't realize that that's where she was buried.
It certainly opened my eyes.
And I too did not know that she was remarried.
Yeah, lots of good information there. And
Yeah,
I didn't know about the head injury when she was a child, saying that she might have become a savant from that. That's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing how the brain works. You know, when it gets injured as a child, it sort of finds a different way, you know?
well, I always heard that she suffered a brain injury at the hands of a protester as an adult. I didn't know about a childhood injury.
Oh.
Because she was hit on the head by a segregationist, and that left permanent damage to her brain.
Yeah,
Oh.
and to her, was it a right side or a left side, Yvonne?
Well, I don't know, but I know
I can't remember which side it was.
I know it was permanent, and she suffered blackouts as a result of that injury.
Yeah.
Well, folks, let me continue on because I want to make sure that I complete everything. Alex, is this on the right one? Going to this next one here?
That's the Harriet Tubman home. So it's
Oh, should I play this as well? Here we go.
I'm Reverend Paul Gordon Carter, and I'm the resident manager here at the Harriet Tubman home in Auburn, New York. Harriet Tubman was a woman who was willing to put her life on the line to go back to help her family become free. She ended up in the Auburn area where she lived for approximately 55 years of her life. She was able to acquire 32 acres of land on which she had her residence, which the original one burned down in 1880. And then she had the brick house built on the same foundation where the wood framed house was destroyed. It was built by her second husband, nephews, and brothers who were brick masons in the area, and they built the brick house. And then there's the barn behind the house, but she also established a home for the aged on some property that she purchased in 1896. Her original home was purchased by her with the help of William Seward in 1859. But her home for the aged and the infirmary that she named after John Brown were established on the property that she purchased in 1896 through a land auction. And now the property is owned by the African Methodist Episcopal Zion Church and has been so since 1903, and they've conducted tours here since 1953. She was a woman who had a tenacity and courage and had the mindset that she understood that freedom was something that everybody should have, and that it was against the dictates of God for someone to capture someone and then hold them hostage and not allow them to have their freedom. So she was a woman who was willing to put her life on the line, go back through slavery, and free all of those who could, because freedom was important to her, as well as family and faith and things of that sort. Many people don't realize that Harriet Tubman was not a very big woman. She was only 4 feet 11 inches tall. Many know that she was illiterate, could not read or write, but though she was not able to read and write, I always like to remind people that just because she was what we consider illiterate does not mean that she was ignorant. She was able to learn things from her parents and other people that she came across, to such a point that she was able to parlay it into a 32-acre estate with her own home, a home for the aged, a hospital, a pig farm, vegetable garden, and a small apple orchard that she used to generate income for the rest of her life. Also, people are not aware of the fact that Harriet Tubman was the only woman that we're aware of who was able to lead, of any color I should say, who was able to lead soldiers into battle during the Civil War. She went on several raids, and it has been said that on the raids she led, none of the men who served with her were killed during the times that they served with her. So just that fact in itself is a very important fact as it relates to her life and some of the things she did with it. Well, Harriet Tubman is buried here in the city of Auburn in upstate New York. She is buried at the Fort Hill Cemetery, which is located off of Fort Street here in the city of Auburn, and she has been there since her death in 1913. And her grave marker that is there now is not the original marker, but that was one that was placed there by the Empire State Federation of Women back in the 30s. She is well known and well noted in the community. Most people that come want to go to her grave, and they go there, and many people leave items that are important to them. Some people just stand there and cry. But she is located here in the city of Auburn at Fort Hill Cemetery, which is approximately 2 miles, 3 minutes from her home. Well, if you know anything about Harriet, you know that she was an extraordinary woman. And for those of you who want to know something about Harriet, I truly believe that Harriet was a woman who believed it was better to live for a cause rather than living just because. And so when you get that mindset as it relates to her, you will understand that sometimes you have to have a cause that's greater than yourself if you expect to make a difference in the world.
Oh, that was great, folks. Maybe one comment. I'm probably a little bit behind again today. Can I get one comment?
Yep.
I'll throw in.
It's
Share.
better to live for a cause than to live because.
I love it.
And I'm happy to see that where she's buried is a cemetery that's well maintained. It appears to be, at least, because I visited the tennis player Arthur Ashe's grave site in Richmond, and I was very disappointed to see that the cemetery was in disrepair and not well maintained. So, and that was, I guess, about 15 years ago. I went down with the tennis group I played tennis with. So we were playing in Richmond. And I was very disappointed to see that his cemetery is the site. It was not well maintained at all.
Oh, wow. Was his tombstone maintained?
Barely, but it was all overgrown. The whole place was pretty much in disrepair. But they do have his tombstone and sort of an icon, a picture of him, which I took standing beside his gravesite. So it is noted that it's the grave of Arthur Ashe, but the cemetery was certainly disappointing.
Well, thanks for sharing. But just a note for you folks, you may be aware of this, but you know, cemeteries have to put funds aside for lifelong maintenance. You know, eventually they do
Yes,
fill up, and a lot of them are bankrupt. My father was involved in a lot of those situations back in Michigan. And so you got to be careful where, you know, where you in your wills you lay your bones, because you know you could be in some rundown cemetery and it may not take long.
that is so true, Alex.
Yeah. All right, let's keep it rolling. Oh, sorry, folks. Okay, hold on. Just gotta tune up my computer skills here. Okay, there we go. Okay, we're getting there, folks. Okay, Winston-Salem. Next one. Okay, great. The Renolda House, let's let it roll. Okay, so this is the Renolda House Museum of American Art. Beautiful home. I'll read a little bit about it. The Renolda House Museum of American Art is an art museum located in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Built in 1917 by Catherine Smith Reynolds, her husband, R.J. Reynolds. Well, we know about that company. Founder of R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company. It displays a collection of American art ranging from colonial period to modern era. The house originally occupied the center of a 1,000-acre estate. It opened as a public institution dedicated to arts and education in 1965 and as a museum in 1967. I didn't know that. Look at all this action going on down there in North Carolina. History. The design and construction began in 1912 and lasted until 1917. Charles Barton Keene, who had gained success designing the homes in Pennsylvania and New York, was architect of not only the main house, but also the village and estate. Now, I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. R.J. Reynolds' fortune. I mean, I don't know anything about that, right? Reynolds was the home of two generations of the Reynolds family. In 1935, Mary General Reynolds Babcock, the elder daughter, acquired her estate. Her husband, Charles Babcock, used the house for vacation until 1948, and they moved permanently to Renolda. Oh, interesting. So, located on Renolda Road, a large portion of Renolda can be explored on foot. In addition to the house, 28 of the original 30 buildings remain. The west lie the restored formal gardens with Japanese cryptomeria, whatever that is, reaping cherry. Oh, I love weeping cherry trees, folks. That's my favorite flowering tree. 16-acre lake behind the house was reverted to wetlands, which provide a home for a variety of wildlife. Many of the buildings in the village are occupied by boutique shops and restaurants a short walk across. Okay, so I didn't know anything about this. I take it that a lot of that R.J. Reynolds tobacco money went to fill this place up with exhibits. And I don't know the first thing about it, to be honest with you. By the way, just a quick story aside. I've been to a couple of the houses where the terminals where the captives were shipped to America from Africa, one in Senegal and one in Ghana. And they all tell this story of triangular trade about, you know, this horrible infliction of pain and suffering from slavery, but they also talk about all the people that died from tobacco. That was one of the other parts of the triangular trade, that, weapons went from England to Africa, and those were used to take captives, which were sent to America, and then those slaves produced tobacco, which was sent back to England, which killed tens of millions of people. And then that tobacco money was used to buy guns and produce guns that were shipped to Africa. And it was this vortex of evil that just plagued the whole planet. And they all talked the story about tobacco, how tobacco was such a big part of this vortex of evil caused by triangular trade. All right, enough of that. Let's get back to the video. Let's get back to Alex, I'm going to jump back here because I don't know anything about this subject. Here we go.
Hello friends, welcome. I'm in front of Rinalda. It's an art museum now, but it was the 1917 built home of R.J. Reynolds, the cigarette guy. R.J. and Catherine, they lived here for who knows how long. It's a pretty big mansion. I'm gonna go check it out, check out some great art, and explore a little bit. Welcome, friends.
So Alex, I bet you didn't realize the connection between this house and Harriet Tubman. And
well, the sign basically explains that 2 generations of the Reynolds family lived here, and in 1965, in the mid-60s, it became dedicated to art. So let's go explore. The Rinalda is an interesting museum in that it's not just about the American artists that it hosts, but also about the preservation of this 19th century home of one of the greatest businessmen of our time. This room is the living room of the home. Looks more like a library. It's a huge place. This room was the main entrance to the home, not where we came in. The cars would drive right up here on this pathway, and
We can't hear.
be dropped off.
yeah, it's very quiet.
Reason they were.
Let me try to turn my volume up.
No, it's they're in a museum. You can't speak that loud, right? So it's
Be
just
here in this amazing
Is it?
gigantic home.
And he's got a mask on.
Along the self-guided tour, there's placards in each room that tell you
That's
what
better.
the room was used for. And then you learn a lot about the family and how they lived in this home. The art on display in the Rinalda is not just limited to one medium either. There are sculpture, paintings, and architecture. Even the furniture, finished carpentry, and the tile work can be considered artwork in this home. Check this out. This was the view from the back of the house. I'm standing right about here right now. This is what it looks like now. One thing, if you notice, is this very large magnolia tree. On either side, there's one. It's a huge tree. In this picture, they were very young. It's cool. Let's see it. The copper downspouts. Nice work. House telephone directory. I thought that I was missing something, and I was. I found the basement. This place is rad. Check it out. This is the first thing you see, which means something cool is probably around the corner. Second thing you see is a wine vault that is bigger than those bank safes. Look at that thing. Oh, a shooting gallery here. A full-on shooting gallery. Not really sure what this is. And a gun cabinet behind you. Yes, awesome. Check it out. Just seating here. Cool. Is this not one of the coolest things you've ever seen in a home? So cool. Just the most fabulous basement area, rec room, bar, bowling alley, shooting gallery, wine cellar situation I've ever seen. This whole room was designed by the daughter just so she could have parties in here with her friends. Check this out, they got this arto mat. You can put $5 in, pick an artist, and you get a piece of art. What a great repurpose for a cigarette machine, huh? Interesting and appropriate for where we're at. And of course, the last thing is the gift shop. Well, in this case, it's the gift area. You get a Christmas ornament shaped like the pool house, if you want to.
Today on my way
A week ago, an exhibit about Tiffany and his glass work was here, but it closed down. So they have some leftover glass things in the hi love leftover glass things in the gift area. So, this nice little shop. It's the old main entrance of the home. Well, thanks for joining me today, friends, on this adventure to Rinalda. It's a very exquisite mansion from the early 1900s. A lot of great history there, some great stories.
Well, folks, any comments about Rinalda?
Oh my God, they got everything there.
There was an article about them back in the day in Life magazine.
Oh, really?
And I'm hoping that it's still on the shelf in the basement. I'm going to try to get somebody to go down and look for it. When I had some work done, they took some of magazines that my mother had saved about different periods of time that they had done some information on. But I remembered that place was absolutely huge.
And Alex, what's the connection to women in history? I don't get that part. Wasn't R.J. Reynolds a guy?
No, the beginning it was both the woman and the man, but mainly the woman because of the idea. So it was mainly her, but it was a joint effort. But she had a big part in the creation of this house.
Oh, of the house. Okay. How about R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company? That was mainly him, wasn't it?
Well, they were, I mean, together. So I mean, it's a joint effort. So.
That was the R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company was mainly R.J. Reynolds, but this house he gave to his oldest daughter. And that's how it's connected. This is the house the oldest daughter designed and had built for herself and her family.
But the old lady was involved in the tobacco and the part of running the fields and stuff. She was involved in a lot of that. The older Mrs. Reynolds.
It was R.J. Reynolds' wife, Catherine, and then it was
Catherine.
It was the whole lineage situation, but it's a beautiful house.
I recognize the figure that was on the cigarette machine as being that
Operation
Operations game.
Yeah.
That was my favorite game.
Yeah, with the little light bulb when you pull the funny bone out.
Oh, the range ankle. What was the hardest one? Oh, writer's cramp. That was almost impossible.
Yeah, writer's cramp.
Writer's cramp. You could not get writer's cramp out without the buzzer going off. Now that's the important thing here. So I just want to share observation and take it for what it's worth. I don't blame R.J. Reynolds for tobacco because I don't think they knew about it back in the 1800s and early 1900s.
No.
So, you can't really blame him and, amassing a fortune, that ultimately caused so much death, but, they didn't know. The other thing is, I don't know how you feel about it. Maybe I shouldn't even share this, but sometimes when I go to people's places and they show me all the nice things they have, something inside me wants to say this, that how much butter you put on your own bread is of no interest to me. And that just jumps out at me when I was watching this, that how well someone butters their own bread, I don't really care. I'm not saying it's good or bad. I just don't even care. And then we saw Harriet Tubman, her treasure was an old person's house, so I just want to share that observation.
And then in that case of Harriet Tubman, that was somebody that did not have a college degree, but they did a lot of great things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been up to Talbot County and to her house, and we did the walk on part of the railroad, the Underground Railroad.
Mm-hmm.
On part of it. I didn't do much because it was going through the woods. I ain't trying to go through no woods.
Yeah. But anyway, me and my wife have a term for folks that, really get into putting a lot of butter on their own bread. We call them bread butterers. Bread
butterers.
Absolutely.
You know something else, Lou? A lot of people use them sweeteners. They don't know that those sweeteners cause cancer too.
Yeah.
That's why I don't use those sweeteners. My
Stay away from sweeteners.
Way back.
All of them, stay away.
Well, there are some good ones. There are some good ones. I'll share a recommendation in the chat.
No, they just haven't figured out that they're cancer yet. They will.
My family died.
Look up the chat.
They always come out saying there's no problem. Then 3 years later, they cause cancer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Lou, check out the brand in the
Those
chat.
blue
It
ones.
actually is it's a very good brand.
They're
Dr. Oz said if
Yeah,
it say
okay.
fat free, run away from it.
Well,
Yeah.
Dr. Oz, I don't pay him
I
any
don't use
attention.
that either. No free stuff.
Yeah,
What I do is I water down my drink. I put a little bit on the bottom and I add like 10 times as much water. And it tastes good, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I do that with my apple juice.
Yeah. It stretches it out too.
Yep, it stretches it out and it tastes the same. It's not as sweet.
Tastes the same. Yeah, you just got to get used to not having that much flavor. And it's better for you. And it's way less calories. And you're not using fake sugar.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well,
But,
if you buy sugar-free drinks and drink them real cold, they're good.
no,
You can't even
No,
tell
no,
the sugar is
sugar-free drinks. Those are the ones that have the fake sugar in it.
they got.
Yeah, they not good for you.
You
Dr.
got to read the
Oz said if
ingredients.
it's sugar free,
I grow
leave
my
it alone.
stevia.
It's
I grow my
all
own
depends on the
stevia.
doctor.
They say stevia is one of the better ones.
I grow my own.
Really, Tom? What is it made of?
It's a plant.
Oh,
It's
really?
a greening plant.
Yeah.
Do you use sassafras?
No, stevia. That's the
Stevia.
name of the plant.
It's called stevia.
Stevia.
Right.
Oh, I heard of that. I
Yeah.
heard of that.
And you take the leaves and you can put it in your tea and your soft drinks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Dr.
Lemonade and ginger
Stop.
ale.
They're up and they're
Dr. Sebi, he talks about that.
I grow my own in pots.
good, everyone. So
Quick
yes,
place.
All right,
yeah.
folks,
Thanks,
I better
friends.
get going here.
If you like
I'm
what you
get
see,
nowhere near the end here. All right, how about Wyoming? Ooh, Cody, Wyoming. I got some stories about Cody. Here we go.
Cowboy
Oh my
people.
gosh, a
Those
PBS
cowboys.
special here. Let's do it. Wyoming women get the vote. State of equality. Alex, should I play the video here?
Yes, that's yeah.
Women throughout many, many centuries have not had a good place where we can be heard and our voices listened to. And without the vote, our voices are silenced.
To be part of the process, to be involved in the direction of your state, in the direction of your country.
Women, they thought they would be a civilizing influence on the Wild West. So history lives here.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men and women are created equal.
The quest for voting rights nationally would take decades, culminating in the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution in 1920.
We're so focused on the federal amendment, we forget that the story of the states was its own history, and the states were enfranchising women well before 1920, before the federal amendment.
There was a lot of discussion among women's groups about securing the right to vote and hold office. So in Wyoming, we saw that kind of play out in a very big way.
150 years ago, when the first gold mining towns in South Pass came and went in a blink, many people in the Wyoming Territory and elsewhere didn't have the right to vote. Native Americans, immigrant Chinese miners and railroad workers, women, all women.
I think women were made to obey men. I don't think women ought to mingle in the dirty pool of politics.
More voting women than voting men will place the government under petticoat rule.
Wyoming used to be the place to go through, not a place to go to. What we conceive of as Wyoming was outside of the imagination of people.
Cheyenne was founded in 1867, about a month after the first town up here in South Pass was founded. July 25th, 1868, the Wyoming Territory was formed.
And in that newly minted territory, its legislature met for the first time in Cheyenne. A bill to give women the vote was introduced by a saloon keeper from South Pass City. He was a man, of course. All the legislators were.
Wyoming, it was something like 6 men for every woman. So this was a bit of a Chamber of Commerce immigration campaign.
We have to get some people here and have some votes cast and counted, because we won't get to be a state if we don't.
Black men have just gotten the vote on a national level. There was concern that there was a need to dilute the black male vote by having white women.
Others over time have alleged that it was a joke, that legislators were just having a bit of fun towards the end of the session, and that it wasn't going to go anywhere.
The old adage that sometimes you do the right thing for the wrong reasons is part of how Wyoming women got the right to vote.
The suffrage movement knew that the best chance for suffrage law to pass would be here in the territories. In Wyoming, what'd you have? 14, 15 guys voted, it was a majority, and the governor signed it.
And now that they had the vote, they had to exercise it.
You had to be brave to stand up and stand in that line at the polling place in Cheyenne, wherever you were, and say, okay, I'm going to assert my rights. Your pastor may not have approved of it, your sewing circle may not have approved it, your family might not approve of it.
September 6, 1870, Mrs. Swain is walking down the street with her little dress, and she's got a little bucket. She had just gone to get some dough starter. She became the first woman to vote in an unrestricted election.
Equal rights were written into the state constitution.
We get to the Constitutional Convention, and Senator Joseph Carey sends a telegram back and says, Wyoming may not make it into the Union with women having the vote. And the legislature sent back a telegram, Wyoming is prepared to wait 100 years if need be. We are not coming in without the women.
Other western states followed Wyoming's lead, and there were other Wyoming firsts too. The first woman justice of the peace, Esther Hobart Morris. The first women on juries. The first woman elected governor in her own right, Nellie Tayloe Ross.
We started out great. We really did, with those legislative acts that gave women property rights, equal pay, suffrage, civic participation, and then kind of fizzled.
It's a historical fact that there wasn't another woman judge in Wyoming for about 110 years.
You've elected a woman governor, that was, almost 100 years ago. So you're not following through on the promise that was given with suffrage 150 years ago.
It certainly isn't that all is well in Wyoming because we have it written in the Constitution. We have a lot of work to do to live up to that. It's slow progress, but we're getting there.
When it comes to voting, I consider it a sacred duty. I will never not vote. I don't care how minor the election is or midterm elections, I will vote. I feel very keen on exercising my power, and I will do that every time.
Well, that was interesting. Anything jump out at anybody?
That the Susan B. Anthony, she was on that gold coin that we get out the metro now.
Yeah. I hate when I get change all those coins. No one takes them.
Nope. You just got to save them for when they become valuable.
I hate when it starts clanging all those coins. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do with all these things? Good point, though. Anything else,
I
folks?
didn't know that much about Wyoming. For instance, I didn't know it elected the first female governor, and then other Western states began to follow its lead with females. And I hadn't thought about the fact that the white women got the vote to dilute the vote of the black male.
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff in there.
They joked about that at the end of the meeting, so or that's
Twice
what
as strong as vinyl, and
it
it
was
was
like
designed to handle
it was like
extreme
half
temperature.
it was like half and half, like where they thought it was a joke, but they were probably not joking in a way about it, but it's like how the tables turned on that. So I thought that
Windows,
was
patio doors,
funny.
or your front entry door.
We can't again. We cannot hear if there's a TV or a cell phone. Thank you so much.
But that was very interesting, Alex and Lou. Good information.
I was surprised by the comment. Maybe I shouldn't have been. That what the reason they brought the vote is that there was like 10 guys to every girl, and that goes to prove that a guy will do just about anything to get the woman. Right, Ron Thompson? Are you on the call? Right, Tom? Right, guys?
I think one of the most beautiful places in Wyoming is in Jackson Hole.
Oh, never been there.
Oh, it's absolutely stunning. For a city boy who had never been out in the country, the night I slept in Jackson Hole and woke up the next morning was absolutely beautiful.
Oh, wow.
I always wanted to go to the Grand Tetons. Anybody ever go there? Tom, did you go there?
We didn't go there, but we went past it.
Oh. All right. Well, Alex gonna kill me because I'm not nowhere near the end of this.
Okay, just go to DC. So yeah, just go to DC slide. Thank you.
All right, let me just end this video.
Yeah, so go to the DC slide.
Okay, so we'll skip that one. Is this one right here?
Yeah.
Right here. Okay, here we go. Right here. Ooh, look at this. I'm playing it.
Sewell Belmont House was designated Belmont Paul Women's Equality National Monument on April 12, 2016 to preserve and interpret the historic headquarters and story of the courageous activism of the National Woman's Party and the community of women committed to political, social, and economic equality.
Alva Belmont, formerly of Vanderbilt, was an unlikely suffragist. A New York socialite, she used her wealth, fame, and connections to further the cause for women's equality. She was both president and the primary benefactor of the National Woman's Party. Alice Paul is credited as one of the leading figures responsible for the passage of the 19th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. As a Quaker, Alice Paul was raised in a community that professed male and female spiritual equality. She attended college in the U.S., but since most American universities wouldn't accept women into graduate programs, she moved to England to further her education. It was in England that she became involved in fighting for women's suffrage. After returning home, she used many of the skills and tactics she learned in England to push for women's rights in the U.S. In 1916, she co-founded the National Woman's Party.
When visitors come to Belmont Paul Women's Equality National Monument, they will experience the National Woman's Party's headquarters, very much like it was when Alice Paul lived and worked here. The exhibits tell the story of the courageous women who fought for equality. They will discover the persistent and creative ways that the women fought for their right to vote and for equality. They will also learn about how suffragists used their First Amendment rights to organize and fight for change. The house is over 200 years old. To make sure that it's here for another 200 years, we are doing some preservation work, including strengthening floor joists, replacing roofs, and repairing brickwork. This is phase one of a two-phase project. The current work here is going to be finished by mid-May 2019.
When visitors leave here, what memories I would like them to take away is people should know that women were not given the right to vote. They demanded it. They fought for it, and it was a long, hard struggle. These were heroic women who sacrificed many things, even their physical and mental health, in order to secure my right to vote.
Oh, anybody go there?
I think I did. Lou, when I was working at GW, because I used to cut through different streets to go to my bank down on New York Avenue. It's down by I can't describe
It's
where it
on
is.
Constitution Avenue.
Yeah, it's not
Northeast.
far from. Is it northeast?
Yeah, it's not far from Union Station, I believe.
Check out the chat. I put the link to the monument and the address there as well.
It's in that. Where is it? What's the address?
144 Constitution Avenue Northeast.
Yeah.
Oh, it's in Northeast.
Yeah.
140 Constitution Avenue Northeast.
I think it's. I
Union
feel like
Station.
it's northwest.
It's not.
It's northeast.
It's northeast.
All right. Well, we'll figure that out. Hey, Alex, I'm going to hand it off to you. Sorry, I'm late as always.
Oh, yep, no, we're doing great, Lou. Thank you so much. And thank you all so much for coming on, and hope you enjoyed this wonderful women's history session. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks so much. For our trivia, again, let's make sure to all raise our hands when we're would like to answer a question. I'll take 3 answers for each question. So you got to make sure you raise your hand in time, okay? So let's all raise our hands to test this feature out. You can hit react at the bottom, and then you can tap on raise hand. Do reactions at the bottom, and then click on raise hand. So we got about 20 folks on. Thank you so much. Hope you guys enjoyed. Again, looking forward to hearing many different voices. Okay. All right, just making sure I'm ready here myself. Thank you so much. Make sure to hit lower hand at the bottom, just like you all did. So that way we can make sure that we hear from everyone that has an answer. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start sharing my screen. And as soon as I share the screen, it'll be the first question. So again, thanks so much. Really appreciate it, you all. Again, just making sure that everyone has equal chance. Thank you so much. And let's go and get started. So 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Which educator and civil rights activist founded a college in Daytona in 1904 and founded the National Council of Negro Women in 1935? Is it Frances E. Willard, Mary McLeod Bethune, Rosa Parks, or Dorothy Height? Okay. Again, taking the first 3 hands. We got Yvonne first.
Mary McLeod Bethune.
Okay, thank you. We got Geraldine.
Mary McLeod Bethune.
Okay. Again, don't forget to lower your hands, you guys. Thank you so much. And then we got Mr. Let's see. 1, 2, thank you. We got Mr. Thomas.
Bethune.
Okay. All right. And for today's session, thank you all so much for today's. We'll see which one is correct. So we're going to go with Mary McLeod Bethune. And you guys are right. So Dr. Miranda Jane McLeod Bethune opened a boarding school to support her son in 1904, Daytona Beach Literary and Industrial School. Eventually became a college to form Bethune-Cookman College in 1929. It issues its first degrees in 1943. So I love this. I'll put this quiz in the chat as well, so you can check out some of the other ones we may not do today, but good job. You 3 are in the running for a Wildtech fridge magnet. Okay, the next one is, who was the first Black Congresswoman? Curtis Collins, Yvonne Brathwaite Burke, Shirley Chisholm, or Ida B. Wells? First 3 hands. Okay, we got Geraldine. Thank you.
Shirley Chisholm.
Okay, we got Brenda next, and then Miss Gracie.
I agree, Shirley Chisholm.
Shirley Chisholm.
Okay, thank you so much, you all. Appreciate it. Thank you. And let's see what it is. Shirley Chisholm, you guys are correct. On January 3rd, 1969, Shirley Chisholm made history as the first African-American woman elected to the U.S. Congress when she was sworn into the 91st Congress and took her seat in the House of Representatives. She was the first African-American woman to win a seat in the New York State Assembly from Brooklyn, and in 1972, she became the first African-American to campaign seriously for a presidential nomination. So good job. Thank you so much, you guys. Appreciate it. Not this one. The next one is... What was the name given to the 19th Amendment to the Constitution, which guaranteed women's right to vote in the U.S.? Was it the American Women's Vote Act, Susan B. Anthony Amendment, Women's Suffrage Amendment, or the National Women's Suffrage Amendment? Again, taking the first three hands. What was the name given to the 19th Amendment? The actual name. And please raise your hand in Zoom. First three answerers. Okay, we got one. Need two more. All right, thank you so much. We got Brenda. What do you say for this one?
Susan B. Anthony Amendment.
Okay, thank you. All right, we got Miss Brenda Thompson and then Gracie.
Susan B. Anthony Amendment.
And Gracie.
Yeah, I might be wrong with this one. Woman Suffrage Amendment.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, and let's see which one it is. Again, I really appreciate it. So we did have a majority for Susan B. Anthony. Let's see if that's correct. And it is. The Secretary of State, Bainbridge Colby, certified the 19th Amendment was ratified as a part of the Constitution, introduced by Women's Suffrage Committee Chairman James R. Mann of Illinois. The Susan B. Anthony Amendment was successfully pushed by suffrage lobbyists who tied U.S. defense of democracy abroad to the extension of democracy at home. It gained momentum as the U.S. mobilized to fight World War I with the help of many women. Wow. Amazing, right? Just that history right there. So good job. Thank you, Brenda's. Wonderful. All right, our next question. Again, first three hands, you guys. First three hands. Where did the first Women's Right Convention take place in the U.S.? Seneca Falls, New York, D.C., Mount Laurel Township, or Rochester, New York? First three hands. Okay. We got Mr. Thomas. What do you say for this one?
Seneca Falls.
Okay. And then we got Geraldine, and then we got Miss Brenda.
I say Seneca Falls, New York.
And
I
then Brenda.
agree. Seneca Falls, New York.
Okay. Thank you so much, you guys. Appreciate it. All right now, Seneca Falls, New York. And you guys are correct. Yes. Held at the Wellasian Chapel, Wesleyan. Wow, I butchered that pronunciation. The Wesleyan Chapel in Seneca Falls, New York, on July 19th and 20th, 1848. So like 200 years, like almost 200 years ago. That's amazing, right? There was 300 women and men at the convention. There was Frederick Douglass was there. Interesting. Lucretia Mott, or Lucretia Mott. Yes, I didn't realize that. So, or remember that. So that's good. 68 women and 32 men signed the Declaration of Sentiments drafted by Elizabeth Cady Stanton and the McClinton family. Yep, good job. And our last, but certainly not least, so make sure you guys have Google ready. Use your resources. The last one is, when were women first allowed to serve in Congress? 1920, 1917, 1919, or 1850? Again, first three hands. This is our last question. Last question, everybody. One more hand. Take one more. All right. Okay, Mr. Thomas, what do you say for this one?
I believe it was the 1920s.
Okay, 1920. Thank you so much. We got Miss Doris next. Thank you.
1920.
Okay, all right. And we got Miss Thompson. What do you say?
1920.
Okay, all right. Let's see how you guys did. Doing a great job so far. 1920. No, it's 1917. Since 1917, when Representative Jeanette Rankin of Montana became the first woman to serve in Congress. A total of 423 women have served as U.S. representatives, delegates, resident commissioners, or senators since then. So 1970. So yeah, that was a tough one. So good job, you all. Again, I hope you all learned something new with the presentation and the video as well. Thank you so much. Give me 1 second to input this in our wheel of names today. Again, thank you so much. I see Lou had to step off for another meeting, but again, I love Lou and his travels. He's definitely traveled and is able to share a lot of different things. So I love it when he presents for us, you guys. Thank you. All right, just Again, making sure we got all of our names in here for our trivia. Thank you so much. Again, lots of responses today, so thank you. All right. And these are our names for today. I'm going to go and share my screen. Thank you so much. All right, so we have some duplicates. If you answer more than one, you have more chances of winning. So we got Vaughn, Miss Geraldine, Mr. Thomas, the Brendas, Miss Gracie, we got Mr. Thomas, all up in our wheel. So I love it. Thank you so much for answering, and I wish you all luck for our 2 winners today. So first up, our first winner is going to be a close one. Great job. We got Gracie as our first winner for our Wildtech fridge magnets today. So congrats, Gracie. And our next and last winner for today is Mr. Thomas. Well, congratulations, Gracie. And thank you so much, Mr. Thomas, for winning a Wildtech fridge magnet from us.
All right. Miss Cordy, would you like to have mine? I have one.
Oh, who did you say, Gracie?
Doris.
Oh, okay. But did you want to do that, Miss Gracie?
If she'd like to, since I have one, she could have one.
Okay, Miss Doris, are you okay with that? You there, Miss Doris? Oh, well, let us know if you're able to respond. But I got her for that. Okay, I really appreciate
Yeah,
that. Gracie.
yeah, I want to share with my friends.
Yeah, thank you, and congrats to you, Mr. Thomas, as well. Thank you so much for coming on. So let's all say again, have a wonderful rest of our day. At 1:30, we have our module with Jordan and doing an intro. But let's all say congrats to our winners. And that was a lot of fun, you all. I hope you all enjoyed that presentation today.
It was a lot of fun. Yes, I enjoyed it.
Congratulations.
Congratulations to the winners.
Congratulations,
Thomas.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Hope you enjoy next week another celebration in the world, in the US. You may not know where we're going, but we're gonna have a lot of fun, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Hope you enjoyed, everyone. See you at
Did.
1:30.
I did.
Bye.
So
you.
fun.
30.
Congrats, everyone.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.